towards the end of the seder, after we've gone through the whole Magid, we had the Shulchan Orech, we went through the end food mitzvot, we're going to get to the very end and sing the Hallel and praise the Kadosh Baruch Hu. But right before that, we open up the door and we say, Shmo Chamadcha Lagoyim, we ask Hashem to take out the wrath on all the enemies of the Jewish people, and that's how we open up and start the Hallel. So I want to speak a little bit about the custom of opening the door. There's many, many interpretations why we open the door, so I want to go through a couple of the ones that I actually connect to. First off, let's start with the Ramah. The Ramah writes that it's in order to remember that it's a Leil Shimurim, that Hashem protected us on Pesach night. So we open up the door and we say, you know what, we trust you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we can keep the door open and everything is good. It's also idea that we're opening up the door now, saying we're opening up with the hope, open up the Petach. We're hoping the Mashiach is going to come right now. We're inviting Eliyahu Hanavi, come in. We pour through the 5th cup of wine. We're thinking towards the times of the Mashiach. Okay, a couple of other ideas for why we open the door. So now let's look a little bit towards the past. So for example, during the times of the Beit HaMikdash, we used to have the Korban Pesach. So how did the Korban Pesach work? You had to all get together in different groups, and there'd be up to 3 groups that would go in. And when they went in to be shochet the Korban Pesach into the section of the courtyard of the Beit HaMikdash, they would first lock the doors on each group. The first group would do their Korban, they would sing their Hallel, and then when they're done doing the Shechita and the Korban part, they would leave, they'd keep that meat for later for the nighttime seder, and then the next group would come in. So in order to remember the concept of closing the door, locking them in, then opening the door, we are actually opening up the door now as they did back then when they were in the Beit HaMikdash in the daytime, getting ready for the Chag. Another idea Sab brought down is that it says in the Torah that Hashem was Pasach ala Petach. Hashem did Pesach, he jumped over the Petach. So I saw a beautiful interpretation that what's the difference between Petach and Delit? We have a door and we have an opening. So it says that this is in the Sefer of Haggadah Ta'atid. So it explains that whenever you find the word Petach, it refers to something open, because Petach is like Patuach. And whenever you find the language of Delit is a language of being closed. So when it says that Hashem is jumping over us, so even though Hashem said you have to leave, you can't leave the house, go into your homes, but the doors were still remaining open because we trusted in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Hashem would take care of us. Another idea of the opening of the doors actually takes us back to Paro, running around Egypt the night of Makat Bechorot, crying, screaming, where's Moshe, where's Moshe? And it says he went to all the petachs of the door, step by step, and he's opening up all the gates. All the gates that were closed with the kishuv and the animal, the people couldn't leave Egypt, but now Paro himself is opening up all the doors, all the gates, knocking on all the doors to try to get to Moshe and Aaron to tell him, you got to get out of here, you got to get the Jews to leave. So remember, Paro in pajama, Emsa Alayla, Paro in pajamas in the middle of the night, running place to place, trying to knock on all the doors, trying to open those doors for us to leave. So now we open the door to try to commemorate that as well. In Sefer Menahem Tzion, he says actually there's a different zecher here. There's a zecher to the brachot of Yitzchak. We've spoken a lot in the past that Pesach night, according to the Midrash, was the night that Yitzchak blessed Yaakov. And the story is after Yaakov got those blessings, it says as Yaakov was leading, the door opened up. It was like a revolving door. Yaakov leaves, Esav gets in, and that's the way that Yaakov was safe. So we're trying to remember that event as well when we got the beracha. Another idea, I thought this is a cool one in the Sfat Emet. It says the Sfat Emet that we weren't. Why do we have to stay in our houses while God was destroying the Egyptians? Because he says we didn't have a zechut to watch the fall of the Reshaim, the Mapalat Reshaim Farhesia. We couldn't openly see them dying. It was similar to the story of Lot's wife, and she's not allowed to look back. Also, then the story of Lot and the angels, which also took place on Pesach night. We have ourselves a doorway, and we have an opening of a delit, and also there's a similar language of this petach. That was one of the earlier versions of the Pesach story in the Maseh B'Sim on the Banim section part. Go up to Bereshit. So there, his wife wasn't allowed to look back. You didn't have that right. You had to stay in your house. So, but he says in Latid Lavo, we are going to have the zechut to go outside and actually watch the Reshaim fall. So therefore, we open up the door to say that in Geulah Atidah, we're going to have the right to go outside and actually see what's going on and still be protected and still be safe. One last idea, this one I actually love the best, we've said this in the past, is that the opening of the door reminds us of something that took place back in the times of the Beit HaMikdash. We're going back to the old school Pesach in Yerushalayim, when everybody made Aliyah LaRegel, and all the families, all the Jews who could make it to Yerushalayim, we all were in Yerushalayim, and we would eat the Korban Pesach in these big family groups, and actually we'd be squatting everybody everywhere we can find land. Everybody who lived in Yerushalayim would open up their backyards and their rooftops, and we'd all have these beautiful seders. And when we finished the Korban Pesach, it said everybody would be oleh lagag, everybody would go up to the rooftop, and everyone would start singing Hallel. And just think about it, everybody outside singing Hallel. I think, here in Eretz Yisrael on Sukkot, we all build our Sukkot outside, and we can hear everybody else singing, and a lot of times my neighbor upstairs will start one tune, and down below we'll start singing the exact same tune, and harmonize with the neighbors upstairs. And just think about that in Yerushalayim. We're going to have millions of Jews there sitting on the rooftop singing Hallel together at night, and what an awesome experience. And then after that, what happens? So also it says, and because there'll be so many Jews over there, and everyone in Yerushalayim is going to be welcoming everybody into Yerushalayim. So all the doors and all the gates are going to be open to make way and make space, telling all of our brothers and sisters there's space for everybody in Yerushalayim. So we open the door to remember that all the doors will be opened up. But also they said, and afterwards, the courtyard of the Beit HaMikdash would be opened up. And when you're done with your meal, you've sang your Hallel, and we're going to be going a little bit quicker because we're going to really make sure we got everything in before Chatzot. And then, now you're there in Yerushalayim, and you're excited, and you're with your family. So what are you going to do in the middle of the night? You're going to go on a tour of Yerushalayim, entering the courtyard with thousands and thousands of brothers and sisters, talking about how great the miracle is of the Geulah Shlema. Bezrat Hashem, we should be zocheh. We should open the door, have all these kavanot, and Bezrat Hashem see Mashiach Tzidkenu. Hag Sameach.